Thanks, Wally. Hi everyone, it's great to be here for the RIU Investor Roadshow in Sydney. Thanks to the guys for having me. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Indiana, some of the high-grade drill results that we've had historically, and why we're so excited about our Minos Gold project in South Australia. The Indiana is, I believe, the company's in the strongest position it's been in a number of years. We're well funded. We've got, as I said, we have a really exciting gold project. We've got a number of aggressive exploration programs, both underway and planned, and we're really just focusing on growth now. I'll walk through some of the history of Indiana, which for those of you that aren't familiar with the story, but it's fantastic being in such a great position to really just focus on sort of exploration, growing this project, and hopefully making a few new discoveries along the way. Just a disclaimer to read in your own time. So we're a South Australian focused gold explorer. We've got a dominant land position of over 5,000 square kilometres in the central Gawler Craton. The majority of that is we're focusing right now on a 50 kilometre of strike of the Lake Labyrinth shear zone. It's a highly fertile gold shear. And beyond that, we've got the opportunity that we've seen for not only gold, which we're seeing throughout the whole project, but also for rare earths, titanium, base metals, and there's even the potential for sort of IOCG and VMS prospects. So there's quite a lot to look at in this overall area. And as I said, we're very well funded with over 37 million in cash, and we've got an active news flow underway at the moment. So just quickly on the corporate side, just over 640 million shares on issue. It's the shows here at 4.9. We actually went into a trading halt yesterday, so we just ticked over 5 cents. So our market cap's a little bit over $30 million. And as I said, we've got 37 in cash. And that's the balance of, we had a project in Tanzania, and from the settlement that we had with the Tanzanian government, we returned over $60 million to shareholders. So that's 2 capital returns of 5 cents each. So we've got a lot of happy shareholders at the moment. And that's the balance that we have at 37, which is what we're looking at deploying mainly into our exploration. There is a component there that is disputed that we've ring-fenced. It's been held in trust, and hopefully that'll get resolved fairly shortly. On the board side, we've got a really good balance between corporate and technical, and that's certainly supported by Tony Rudd, our exploration manager, and recently I've brought in 2 key consultants that I've worked with for quite a few years, Barry Bourne and Simon Bolster. Barry and Simon have both worked with me together for a number of years. Barry's ex-Barrick, Simon's ex-Newmont. So these guys, big company background, they've been involved in a number of discoveries. They know what they're looking for, so I'm really fired up to have them in with Indiana. So this image here just shows our district scale footprint in the central Gawler. South Australia, look, it's highly prospective. I think it's very underexplored. It's already had a number of major discoveries. There's a proven sort of gold endowment area there. There's a long sort of history of gold exploration and sort of mining. And as I said, there's a number of other major deposits and operating mines in the region. Our project, it covers over 5,000 square k's. It's really easy to get out to. It's about a 7-hour drive out of Adelaide. Supported by really outstanding infrastructure. And you'll see there from the image, some of you from a gold perspective may be familiar with Barton Gold. Barton are doing fantastic work in the area. They're sort of really advancing their projects, and we've got all the ground surrounding that. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to be exploring that same area. So this is just a zoom in on our Central Gawler project. I think the 2 key things to get away from this slide is we're focused, as I said, on that big sort of northwest southeast trending Lake Labyrinth shear zone, of which we've got over 50 k's of strike. And then you'll see further down on that slide, there's 2 sort of almost east-west trending greenstone belts. So it's a massive area. It's had there's multiple targets in the area. As I mentioned, there's been a lot of, there's old shafts throughout the whole area. There's a lot of historical working. It's had working since the early 1900s. And it really has been sort of, we believe, heavily underexplored in more recent times. It's not had a lot of modern styles of exploration. That's really where that opportunity lies. I guess one of the challenges with having a project that's of this size and scale is, and I think Julian stole my analogy before, is there are so many targets here, and it is like picking your favourite child as to And I certainly see the geos sort of debating which prospect we should be chasing. You know, is it a big shear system? Is it sort of some of those greenstone opportunities? And I think, given the position that Indiana is in with our funding, we have the ability to really aggressively explore this project. We're not sort of just doing a small sort of $5 million cap raising, getting some results out to the market, coming back. We've actually got the ability to really sort of unlock what we believe is some real value for this project. So this is just a zoom in on that Lake Labyrinth shear zone, and this is what we're focusing on at the moment. And the reason we're focusing on this, it's a big shear system. As I said, we've got over 50 kilometres of strike of that, and typically these big shear systems, it's that gold fluid highway, and they're looking for those structural sort of fractures or adjustments in that shear, and that's where the gold's dropping out. And typically along where you find these big shears, that's where you find those big deposits. The shear already hosts a number of highly prospective targets in there. We have our most advanced ones at Minos, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but we have Minos, Ariadne, Company Well. Minos has been delivering some outstanding high-grade drill results. It's part of the reason I got involved with the company. And we can really see this is starting to grow. This is just an example of some of those high-grade drill results. Obviously, it's some of our better ones, but sort of stand out. 38 metres at 6, 21 metres at 8.4, 20 at 7. It's really starting to deliver, and I think the challenge has been in the past when you're delivering those sorts of results. There is a bit of a hesitation to step out to deliver more great results to the market. But I guess, as I said, because of the position that we're in at the moment, we're able to sort of take those big aggressive step outs and start to look at other targets, and really for existing shareholders and new shareholders looking at the opportunity, highlighting that there's a lot more to just Indiana and our Minos Gold project than just the Minos prospect. There are a number of other prospects, and that's what we want to. It's focusing on building that pipeline out. So this is just a quick plan view of that Minos project. It's currently defined over 650 metres. It's between 50 and 150 metres wide, and it's drilled down to. We've been hitting high grade gold as deep as over 300 metres down. So for us, we can see it's trending along that northwest, southeast Lake Labyrinth shear zone structure. It's open along strike. It's certainly open at depth. You'll see there it's on that section, the cross section there on the. If you're looking at the screen, it's on the right. It's a very high grade, what we believe, sort of high grade plunging chute, and that's really what we're sort of targeting to sort of see how long that can extend for at depth and both along strike. This is a fairly new slide. It sort of shows not only Minos but also sort of Ariadne, which is one of the other prospects there. I guess a couple of key things to get away from this slide is neither of these things have really been tested at depth. Interestingly, Ariadne outcrops at surface. There's a bunch of old shafts and workings through there. There's not a lot of drilling deeper than about 100 metres at Ariadne, so that's certainly something that we really want to sort of go and follow up on. And then with Minos is under a little bit of cover. That's why it was more recently discovered, and it hasn't had a lot of that working on there, a historical working. So it's really sort of untouched. And I guess this is the exciting thing that I've sort of spoken about, stepping out along that Lake Labyrinth shear. And so we undertook a calcrete sampling program, and that's come back with some fantastic calcrete anomalies. It's really highlighted. You can see it's sort of Minos and Ariadne, I guess, hosted along that shear zone, and then Company Well. It's about 2 kilometres off the shear. It's that mag image there. You can see there's really quite a bit of disruption in the geology there. So we're really sort of interested to see sort of particularly what's going on. We've got a major 5,000 metre air core program that's being mobilised. It's starting next month. So we're really looking to hit that hard, and we're already sort of talking with drilling rigs about following that with RC drilling. So the position that we're in, we're certainly not going to die wondering, and we can really hit this project hard, and I think that's how we're going to unlock some real value. So there's multiple targets to chase, and we could sort of chase a number of those targets concurrently. So what are we doing right now? We have been waiting on quite a few assay results from a previous RC and diamond program. We did sort of experience some logistical matters in the turnaround of those, which has now been resolved. We're currently in a trading halt. We do have a number of those assays that are currently being compiled. There are still a number of other assays that are still pending. So looking forward to getting some results out on Thursday or Friday on those results. And they're mainly at Minos, testing that strike extension to both the northwest and southeast, and also some deeper diamond holes, which are sort of testing it at depth. So we're really looking forward to getting all those results back and then updating the market on that. As I said, we have a 5,000 metre air core program planned at Company Well, just off the shear, and that we believe is going to follow through with a major sort of RC program to really hit Company Well quite hard. The other side of it is we are doing quite a lot of field work. We've recently flown an aeromagnetic program. We've got one of our structural consultants, John Standings, helping us with some interp on that. So that's, we believe, going to throw up some additional targets, and then we've got some more calcrete sampling over Area Dam and Mulcra, which are two targets further to the south along that sort of Harris Greenstone belt. And then we are reviewing the rare earth and titanium optionality that we have with the ground. So there is quite a lot going on, and it's just about really building that pipeline out. And we've got a fantastic opportunity to do that. So we're not really just mobilising and drilling blindly. We really want to work up these targets, and I guess for me to bring in the right sort of people and the right team to really sort of look to unlock that value. And then most importantly, I'm sure you've heard, South Australia is no different to any other part of Australia about getting access to ground. We've got to engage with the traditional owners, we've got to engage both directly and through consultants, and I think by doing that early, which is what we're doing, as we're starting to build this pipeline out, we're not then sort of waiting to get approvals to go and drill outstanding targets that we want to drill. So there's a lot of engagement going on in that area. So it's a really important time for us to be laying that sort of I guess administrative groundwork, which will then sort of lead to sort of us being on the ground and then drilling some of these other targets. So the investment highlights, I think that's, for me, I get asked, coming out of Alto Metals and sort of what I'm doing next, why I joined Indiana, and I just see it's a fantastic opportunity here. It is almost like a new beginnings with what happened in the past and where we're sitting from a funding point of view, but having over 5,000 square kilometres in the central Gawler, it's a major sort of highly prospective region. We've got a significant sort of 50 kilometres of the Lake Labyrinth shear zone, so it's these big sort of major structures, and that's where you're going to find those big deposits, and that's really why we're focusing on Lake Labyrinth. There is significant potential for other sort of opportunities, and our funding position, I mean, it does, we are an outlier from a number of other junior explorers here. We've got a very envious cash balance, and we've got the ability to really sort of accelerate the exploration and sort of unlock some real value. So that's kind of certainly why I got involved. As I said, sort of the investment proposition previously was our EV was certainly very compelling. I believe it still is very compelling compared to our market cap and cash, and I guess that's why I'd encourage you to have a closer look at Indiana. We've got about a minute left, but if you've got any other questions, please come and see me at our booth, and I'll be happy to chat to you. Thank you.